Hey, how's it going? Hope you're well. I am now back in the studio answering your questions. And honestly, I got so many questions that came through after the last video. It's great to see that all you guys are really interested in getting some support and help with your electric mountain bikes. If you didn't already know, I run eMTBforums.com, and it is a resource that has hundreds of thousands of posts, thousands of members, all in a similar situation to all of us that want to geek out about electric mountain bikes, want to find out about new bikes, share experiences, new rides, purchase information, all of that kind of stuff. It's a great resource. So do head over there and register completely free and get involved in all the comments and all that good stuff. If you still can't find an answer, shoot me an email. Here's my email address. It's rob@emtbforums.com, and I'll do my best to reply to you, and I might be able to get it on the show as well. Now, the first question that's come in from John relates to the new video that I just put out on the Focus Sam2, which is an absolutely amazing, big hitting, super enduro bike. And the 2020 Knivo that came out last year, which is a very similar kind of category electric mountain bike. And here's his question. Hey Rob, I just watched your Sam2 review. Look nice, seems very similar to the Knivo. Which would you prefer? Have you compared the two of them against each other yet? Cheers, John. John, thanks very much for your question. I've not compared them head to head, but we're going to look at the stats and we're going to do that just now. And I've got loads of experience on the 2020 Knivo. I owned one for quite some time on long-term kind of demo for a few months and rode it in loads of places, from just regular cross-country stuff to bike parks. And I've done a video on it if you want to check out like a full review on it. But just as a recap, the 2020 Knivo is £7,000, 6,999, has 27.5 inch wheels, 180mm travel. In S5, which is the biggest bike, the longest, it's 520mm in reach, so pretty long. 64-degree head angle, which is pretty slack compared to the rest of the electric mountain bikes that are out on the market. 24.6 kilos. So it's approaching that kind of heavyweight bike, similar to the Sam2, and we'll come on to that one in a moment. It's got the Boxer fork, which is a beefy, stiff, triple clamp fork. It weighs quite a lot. It's on downhill bikes. It's an absolute beastly fork. It's got the brilliant Bros Mag S motor, 2.1 motor with 90 Newton meters of torque. 700 watt-hour battery in the Expert version. They do one that's a lower down version, comp, and it doesn't have the 700, has a 500, and it was released about a year ago. Yeah, basically pretty much a year to the day. Came out in October 2019. I really enjoyed riding this bike. It is just a beast that you can ride everywhere, from cross country to the world's toughest downhill tracks. And I didn't take it on the world's toughest downhill tracks, but I took it to some bike parks in the UK and loved it. I love the size of it. If you're tall, over 6 foot, 6'3" I am, and that fit me wonderfully, and I really enjoyed it. Check out my video for more info on that bike. The Sam2 just been released this week, or a couple of weeks ago. Very similar in the style of the bike in terms of what it's good at. So it's like again a super enduro bike. 5,999, so it's £1,000 cheaper. 29-inch wheels front and rear. 65-degree head angle, 25.9 kilos, so it's a little bit heavier. Fox 38 factory, which is just a beautiful fork. The Bosch Generation 4 motor with 85 Newton meters of torque, 625 watt-hour battery, and it's just been released. And again, I've done a couple of videos on this one, a first look a few weeks ago, then this week, like a bit more of an in-depth review. I think they are both such good, like absolute bombers. If you want to just charge it down some pretty gnarly terrain, both of them are going to do it. But there are some differences. So let's go into a bit more of a deep dive on the two bikes. So we've got the Knivo, longer, slacker, maybe more downhill bike park orientated. It's 1.3 kilos lighter. It's got a slightly larger battery. The triple clamp fork is £1,000 more. Arguably, it's got better integration. Come on to that in a bit. It's got 27.5-inch wheels. And then if we compare that to the Sam2, still slack and long, but not quite as slack and long as the Kenevo. More super enduro than downhill bike park. It is heavier, 1.3 kilos heavier. The battery's 625 watt hours versus 700. Really, you're not going to notice so much of a difference. I would say that is marginal, that difference. Single crown fork instead of the triple clamp fork. So the Boxer is a brilliant performing, stiff, supple fork. And the Fox 38 is also a fantastic performer. Nice and buttery smooth off the top. Felt really stiff to me. Honestly, the biggest thing between these two in terms of the fork is the Kenevo's a bit more of a difficult one to get in the van and fold the bars around, and for some people that might not make any difference whatsoever, but for others, if you're trying to get into a shed or into the boot of a car, could make all the difference. The Boxer, because of the way that the Boxer is mounted, you can't turn the handlebars more than a certain distance because the triple clamp just would hit the frame. Whereas the standard single crown Fox fork can be turned all the way around like you'd traditionally do if you put the bike in a car or something similar. So there is a big difference there. It's cheaper by £1,000. So I'm talking RRP prices. I know you can negotiate differences and different deals on both bikes, but the RRP is £1,000 cheaper on the Sam2. That might pay for loads of decent winter riding gear, might pay for a bike holiday, anything else, but £1,000 cheaper is quite a significant difference. It's got the Bosch integration. I don't think the Bosch integration is as good as the Bros or Specialized integration. You know me, I don't like that horrible display on the Bosch. It's just not as neat and tidy. The battery is cut out from the bottom of the frame on the Focus, and on the Kenevo it slides right in underneath. It's a little bit neater in my opinion, and the controller, it's just better on the Kenevo. The whole integration of the motor and the electronics I think is better on the Kenevo than it is on the Bosch based Sam2. 29er wheels on the Sam versus 27.5 on the Knivo, and I do think that the Sam2 offers more customization. So you can run a mullet setup on the Sam2. It's got adjustable chainstay on the rear, so you can bring the chainstay in and you can reduce it from 450 down to 430mm. And I think that makes quite a big difference. I'm a fan of 29er wheels. That would be my preference. And I'm an even bigger fan of the mullet setup. I like the 29er at the front for greater rolling abilities. And I like the 27.5 at the rear because I just feel it makes it a little bit more nimble. Also, I get less backside buzz. If you're hanging off the back of the bike, there's more clearance between your butt and the back wheel. So I'm a fan of that customization that the Focus Sam2 offers. Check my video out again if you want more detail on that, because I actually ride it with both 29er configuration and the mullet configuration. Either one of these bikes are going to be able to take on super gnarly stuff. I wouldn't say, maybe the Knivo, you could argue it's a bit longer, a bit slacker. It's more orientated towards bike park and downhill. And the Sam2 more super enduro. The Kenevo's 1 degree slacker, the Kenevo's a little bit longer, but they're both super capable, and it might actually come down to what bike is available right now, what kind of deal can you get, what's the price going to be, do you want to wait for the Sam2? Because I know that there's a bit of a delay, not necessarily because the bike's not available, because it is, but it's so popular that they've sold through loads of them, so you might find more difficulty finding the Sam2. So John, I hope that answers your question. I'm not able to give you you should definitely go for this one over this one, because they're they're so capable, both of them, and you could have an absolute blast on them. Maybe if your riding is predominantly bike park and downhill, the Knivo. If you want something that's a bit more flexible, can do a little bit more trail, enduro, super enduro, but can also absolutely smash downhill and bike park, maybe the Sam2 as well. And it's £1,000 cheaper. It's not a small amount of money, is it? Cool. All right, so next up, Steve. Steve, you wanting to buy an e-bike soon with a budget of around 5 grand. Over the years, you've done a bit of biking, but mostly spent time in the gym at 5'11" and a stocky build. What bike would you recommend for guys like me, 115 kilos approx, looking to do mostly long trail rides, but obviously worried about battery life? Is there a bike out there I'd maybe get 30 to 40 miles on? Perhaps a bike with a removable battery and carrier spare. Any help would be appreciated. Now, I've had a look at a few bikes. The thing that we've got at the moment is the weight restrictions. They're quite conservative on a lot of bikes. A lot of them have a maximum total system weight of 120 or 130 kilos. And I found some that go up to 150 kilos. So let's take a look at a total system weight, because these are some things that we're going to need to check out. So if you're 115 kilos, let's say for argument's sake that the bike is 23 kilos, your total system weight is 138 kilos. That's without gear. So let's say 140 kilos if you're having a backpack, maybe even higher than that. So really, you need to look for a bike that's got a total system weight of 150 kilos. That does separate quite a few bikes out from the options. E-Mountain Bike magazine did a really good article on system weight and bike weights and capabilities, which you should go and read. I'll link in the description. But Ingo, who is the head of engineering for Highbike, has said it's important to rate a bike for a higher weight limit. It's not just enough to test the frame, and it's actually all safety critical parts. So the frame, the fork, the brakes, the wheels, the bar, the stem, the seat post, saddle, cranks and pedals, all of them must undergo and pass tests at these loads. It only takes one component to fail for the bike not to be approved. So if you're looking at a bike with a total system weight of 130, actually, all of those items, other than the seat post, might be capable of carrying 150, but it only takes that one item, the seat post in this example, to push it down, so it cannot be categorized as suitable for a total system weight of 150. Make sense? However, what I would say is me and the bike pilot, and he won't mind me sharing, I hope. The bike pilot this is John, he's like 100 kilos. When we're filming, the backpack that he has is like, honestly, it's really heavy. It carries all of our camera gear, batteries, drone, multiple lenses, tripod. It's probably like 15, 20 kilos easily. And we've ridden loads of bikes that are not rated to 150 on loads of different terrain and never had an issue. This is not endorsing the fact that you can go and smash it on bikes that are rated for only 120 or 130, but in my experience, and I've not actually read of many other people having issues riding a lighter weight, a lighter system weight bike, but read into that what you will. I don't know, I don't think it's as, obviously it's a law that they've got to pass, and I don't think you will have issues so much, but just to be safe, I've found some that are 150 rated and fit the criteria. They are a little bit over your budget though. So the first one is the Cannondale Mortera, and all of the Cannondale e-bikes, from what I can see, are rated for a total system weight of 150 kilos. But this fits in with what you're looking for. It's got removable battery, it's got the Bosch Gen 4 system, the Bosch Gen 4 motor. It is an outstanding motor, and you can get spare batteries. You can fit them in a backpack. They're the power tube ones that go in the frame, and they're great. They're great motors. I really enjoy riding the Bosch, and it's punchy, and especially at a higher weight, that kind of punchiness is what you would really appreciate. However, I've put watch out for air shocks, because once air shocks get to a certain PSI, they basically are rubbish at performing. They're kind of outside of their range of effective performance. So once you get to, I don't know, 300 psi or 350 psi, which you'll probably need at 115 kilos, the performance of them is not brilliant. So I would recommend looking at a coil option and getting a spring that is rated to a higher weight, a higher load. Here's a bike from Mondraker, another alternative, 150 kilos total system weight. Again, removable battery, 150 travel on the frame and 160 on the fork. Bosch Gen 4. It's got the brilliant Fox 38, but again, it's got an air shock, so something to be aware of. This one would be the dream for you. Honestly, it's way over budget, but it's got the high system weight, removable battery, 170 travel, and a Fox 38, but with a coil. And with a coil shock, you can get a customized spring that is going to be much more effective at 115 kilos than any air shock. An air shock, I don't think, is going to be good for you for riding on a bike. You'll be able to inflate it and overinflate it, but you won't get decent performance with it. But with a coil shock, with a matched spring for your weight, that would be the absolute dream. So this Mondraker Level R, this is the 2021 version, would be an awesome performer. I just can't find something that I think is ticking all of the boxes and give you a super ride within that £5,000 budget. You could potentially look for a 2020 model. I believe that Mondraker is identical for 2020 as it is for 2021. With a coil, so check that one out as well. And next up, we've got Karim. And Karim, you ask a really valid question. Hi Rob, this year I invested in my first mountain bike and I've been doing some serious downhill trail riding in France. And wow, do I love it. Having watched every review on YouTube, including most of yours, I went for the Norco Sight VLT, but only because it was virtually the only bike left in the whole region. Luckily, it turns out it was a great choice and it's great fun to ride. But I have one major gripe, which seems to apply to all mountain bikes, and I wonder if you feel the same way. My bike has the Shimano motor on it, and it seems to be quite sensitive to cadence, which is annoying. It feels like my legs are going round faster than a hamster's to keep the motor happy. But my main gripe is this: 12 speed. What the hell? I don't need that many speeds. I don't need a gear for every 2 to 3 miles an hour change in speed. I can't think of a single occasion when I make a single gear change. I'm triple, quadruple, or even quintuple shifting when the gradient changes under me, and it's a pain. On an eMTB, the motor effectively makes the rider stronger, meaning that the rider's pedaling cadence can vary a fair bit without running out of strength, right? Meaning we need fewer gears, not more. Surely I reckon I could get away with 8 gears covering the same range, 10 to 42 teeth if my memory serves, and still feel spoiled. You've ridden more bikes than me, what do you think? You speak to many manufacturers, why the constant push to add more gears? It adds to cost and weight but seems unnecessary. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to get manufacturers to cut the number of gears, maybe ensure the motors aren't quite so cadence sensitive, and I wonder if other people out there feel the same way. Love your channel, keep up the great work. Kind regards, Karim. It is such an interesting point. You are absolutely right. We've got this huge, great big race to get like more gears and more cogs. And I think this comes from a couple of things. I think firstly, there's a race between SRAM and Shimano to get the latest and greatest products out there to market. So we've gone from 9 speed, 10 speed, 11 speed, and now 12 speed. And more recently, we've got the XT 12 speed and SRAM bought out their Eagle 12 speed. And I think a lot of it is kind of trickling from the regular mountain bike market. And we're seeing these products make their way over to electric mountain bikes. So if you're buying a mountain bike, latest mountain bike for 2021, you're going to want it to have, or I think the brands think you want it as a consumer to have the latest group set, which for SRAM is a 12 speed Eagle, and for Shimano is their XT 12 speed. However, that doesn't necessarily mean, you're absolutely right, doesn't mean it is the best fit for an e-bike. You don't need, I don't think you need 12 speeds on an electric mountain bike, on a full powered electric mountain bike. I think it's a little bit different for the lower powered ones, but for a full powered, full fat e-bike, are 12 gears necessary? I did some comparisons in weight as well. because the 12-speed XT, the new 12-speed XT, which is a brilliant performer, is 470 grams. If we look at the 10-speed, the older 10-speed, it's actually 320 grams, 150 grams lighter. Now, SRAM did bring out an EX8 8-speed drivetrain, and that weighs only 289 grams, so almost half the weight of the 12-speed Shimano XT. However, I rode this 8-speed and I felt that the gearing was too wide. The ratio was too wide between each of the gears. So although in theory the idea of the 8-speed is great and the weight savings are pretty cool as well, I felt that I was, let's say I was spinning at 80 RPM and I wanted to get to a slightly easier gear. I'm just about to hit a hill and I was on an e-bike and I wanted the motor to keep giving me the same amount of assistance. The change in the ratios was too much. So I felt I was going from 80 immediately and then I was spinning at like 90, 95 and it just felt a little bit weird and a bit awkward. So I do believe there is room for more electric mountain bike specific group sets, and maybe we're talking, just to keep it easy, rear cassettes. And I think what SRAM did with this EX8 was brilliant, but how about we get an EX10? So you get the benefits of the lighter weight. You don't need all of those gears, and when you're saving weight on the back, that's rotational weight, that is quite a considerable amount of weight saving. And I think that that's a good idea, and you are absolutely right. I don't think we need 12 speed on electric mountain bikes. I think that we've got a motor to help us. I would like to see more e-bike specific drivetrains that really kind of go and work out what are the best ratios for electric mountain bikes. What do you actually need on an electric mountain bike, instead of how can we get more teeth? Because, you know, it might end up that we get 13 speed, and who needs 13 speeds, 13 gears or 14 gears on an electric mountain bike? Certainly not us. So absolutely right, Karim. I would love to see more options for electric mountain bikes that explore the range, the cassette range that we actually need. Long overdue, but great question. Cool, thanks for all your questions. That's it for now. If I haven't managed to get to your question, I will try and do it as soon as I possibly can. Let me know if you like the video with a thumbs up, and if you've got any questions or feedback about this video, pop them down in the comments, and I'll catch up with you all soon.